Hey, my name is Dallas Mast. I'm on the leadership team here at Edifice Shed Builders, and just want to invite you to come along with us as we walk through the different steps of replacing a window in a standard stick-built type frame. In my experience, there are several reasons to replace a window. Probably the most common being, the window was broken, and so the entire window needed to be replaced. That would probably be the most common. The next one could be maybe the window wasn't operating correctly. It could be that if it's a sliding window, maybe spring or a guide broke, and so it no longer operates correctly, and so we would need to replace it in that case as well. And the third reason for replacing a window, and the one that we don't like to run into, would be that it was installed improperly and there was leaking. And the reason that we don't want that to happen is when water gets inside of a structure through a faulty window installment, it can cause water damage. You could have rotting wood, you could have mold, you could have damaged insulation. So multiple things around leaking water can cause a very involved replacement if that's the case. So I'll walk you through the tools that I'm going to be using to replace this window. The tools can vary a bit depending on the style of window, the style of siding, and the style of trim that you're working with. In this scenario here, we are using a pry bar to pry off the trim and any nails that we need to pull out. I'll be using a utility knife to cut free any caulk or silicone that we used in the original install. And I'll be using a hammer to help pry on the areas that just need a little more force than what I can get with the pry bar. And I'll also be using the hammer to pound in flathead nails as I install the window on the nailing flange of the window. Next, when we go to install the trim, I'll be using an impact drill and a standard exterior deck screw that's long enough to go through the trim, through the siding, and into the stud that is around the frame of the window. We'll also use a standard window and door caulk and a caulk gun for the application of the caulk. And then to finish things up, we'll need some basic paint supplies such as a roller, a paintbrush, the correct color of paints, and always keep paper towels around to help clean your hands off, and when you're done, to wash that window down and make sure it's nice and clean. When I approach a window replacement, here's the steps that I would use. First of all, you want to remove the trim that's around your window. Get that out of the way, and then you'll be able to remove the nails that are in the nail flange of the window so that you can pull that window loose from the frame that it was set into. Once you've pulled that window out, if it was installed properly, there will be some sealant around the edge of the window opening. You'll want to get a scraper or a utility knife or something and clean that all off so that when you go to install the window, you don't have any interference there. So once the window is removed and the surface where the nailing flange sits is cleaned off and ready for the install, take your caulk tube and apply a liberal portion of caulk around the entire edge of the opening. And then slide your window carefully into the opening so that the nailing flange seats securely and seals against that caulk. And take your flathead nails and nail around the window to hold it securely against the caulk and against the siding. When you have finished nailing around the perimeter of your window, it's time to install your trim. Before we install the trim, let's go ahead and lay a good bead of caulk around the edge so that the trim can seal up against the siding and the caulk as well. This will give us 2 layers of protection from moisture coming in. Once we have that bead of caulk around there, we'll install our trim using whether it be nails or screws. We just want it to be seated securely and tightly. So make sure your fasteners are going into the wooden frame around the window and not just into the siding. If you do use nails, be careful when you're hammering that you don't hit the window and damage the window. If you're using screws, make sure it is an exterior style screw that can stand up to the elements. Once you have the trim installed, take your caulk and seal up the joints where the trim meets each other at the corners. Caulk over your nail or screw heads so that you have a smooth finish, and let that dry and you'll be ready for the paint touch-up. Be careful when you're touching up the paint that you don't get paint on the window. Have a paper towel ready so that if you do accidentally get some on the window, you can wipe it off quickly before it dries. And go ahead and give that paint a good thick layer on the trim. And if you need to do a second coat, let it dry before you do your second coat. Water runs down your siding when it rains. And so your trim at the top of your window, it's going to get water running down and hitting it. It's very important to put a nice good bead of silicone along the top of your trim where it joins the siding of your building. Make sure to put that in there, smooth it out nicely, make sure it's sealed nice and tightly, and that will help when it rains. Water will just come down and be directed away and not flow behind your trim. The final step would be to wash the window and make sure that it is sparkly clean and ready to let that natural lighting in. Typically, windows come with some stickers on them. They may even have some writing on them with some glass markers or something. And you may need something pretty stout to get that off, like some rubbing alcohol or a good strong glass cleaner. And just grab that, grab your paper towel, give it a quick wash and shine, and make sure that it's operating properly, and you will be good to go.